Meeting November 16th, 2023, 501 Main Street, 5:30 p.m. Can we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call?
Crenshaw,
Here.
Walker,
Here.
Garcia,
Here.
Oltmans,
Here.
Ellenthal, Andrews,
Here.
Tillman,
Here.
Bryant,
Here.
Greenwald,
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
Item number 4, Mayor's Correspondence. Friday night, they're doing the Molly Hurley music video at Rascal's Pub and Grub. It starts at 7 p.m. This is for scholarships in honor of Molly Hurley. Saturday, November 18th, we have a chili dinner at the Oddfellows Building at 1721 Blondo from 5 to 7 p.m. with free will donation. And item number 2 is Making Spirits Bright Festival of Trees at the River City Mall, 6:30 p.m. and the cost is $15. They still need volunteers at the City of Christmas to help get ready for the opening night, Thanksgiving, Thursday, November 23rd. So if you don't have anything to do during the day, they are working hard to get that open for us. And also remember that on December 1st, if you go through the City of Christmas and bring a toy, you may donate it to Toys for Tots. And on December 2nd, if you go through the City of Christmas, you can bring canned foods to donate. Item number 5, citizens' request. If we have anyone that needs to speak during this time, could you please come forward, talk into the mic, speak, give us your name and address. Try to take only 5 minutes or less. Do we have anybody for citizens' request? Okay, moving on. Item number 6, consent agenda. Minutes of the special council meeting of October 26, 2023. Minutes of the regular city council meeting and council workshop of November 2nd, 2023. Cash receipts and treasurer's report for October 2023. Resolution approving an urban revitalization tax exemption for Robert and Robin Korshigan, 728 Franklin Street, for a garage. Motions to pay bills and transfers listed in the register's number 5373 through 5375. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda, including the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 7, A. Now is the time and place for a public hearing to consider the vacation and disposal of a platted unapproved portion of H Street and an alley in the block 72, Mason's Lower Addition, City of Keokuk, Lee County, Iowa. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on November 8th, 2023. I am opening the public hearing at 5:33.
Keokuk Municipal Water Works has requested vacation and disposal of a portion of a platted unapproved alley in Block 72 and a platted unapproved portion of H Street between Block 72 and 73 in Mason's Lower Addition. The purpose of the request is to use the property for fill site. The Planning Commission reviewed and recommended approval of the vacation at their meeting on August 28th, 2023. There were neighboring property owners in attendance that expressed concern, opposition about negative impact on roads that are in poor condition. Tonight, I would just like to hold the public hearing and table the request as Keokuk Municipal Water Works is not quite ready. They have some pending issues. I don't know if you want to call them issues, but that are pending on properties that they're purchasing around these platted alleys, streets.
I would motion to table the vacation.
Not until after the public hearing's done.
Oh, sorry.
Any more discussion? City Clerk, any written comments or objections, have they been received? There being no further comments or objections on the matter, I will close the public hearing at 5:35.
Now would be the time for the table.
No, I actually did want to add that I did have one objection from a resident in that neighborhood to the vacation of this plot.
Okay. Any more discussion? Okay, so we're going to table that. Do I have a motion to table?
So moved.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Tabled. Item number 8, now is the time and place for the public hearing on the status of funded activities for the City of Keokuk Comprehensive Neighborhood Revitalization Planning Grant. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on November 8th, 2023. I am opening the public hearing at 5:36.
I'm Sarah Hegox with the Southeast Iowa Regional Planning Commission, and we are assisting the city of Keokuk with a comprehensive neighborhood revitalization planning grant. This was funded through a community development block grant through IEDA. The city procured for a consultant to put the plan together. They received 3 bids, and the award was given to MSA Professional Services. The total grant is for $25,000. The city had to provide a local match of $3,750. Of the $25,000, 23 can go to the plan and 2,000 will go to our admin contract. MSA has not submitted invoice yet, so the only draw has been made for admin in the amount of $1,105. And currently, no changes have been made to the planning grant. The plans that MSA has put together must be uploaded by November 30th of 2023. IEDA will select 2 to 3 communities. Actually, she said today maybe 4 for their final award. And if Keokuk is one of the communities that is selected, they can apply for up to $1.75 million for this planning grant, and they will have a 15% local match. I included the map in case in your packets, if you remember what we applied for the grants. This is kind of the targeted area we selected for that plan.
Are there any questions?
We do have the MSA consultant. She's doing this virtually. She was going to be here tonight, but ran into some health problems. So she is going to present virtually. Do you have her on the phone?
Can we close the public hearing first?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah,
You need to.
And then she can give the presentation.
okay.
Okay, any further discussion? City Clerk, any written comments or objections, have they been received? With no further comments or objections on the matter, I will close the public hearing at 5:38. 8B, presentation of the Neighborhood Vitalization Plan by MSA Community Development Specialist Tara Waters.
Put my phone down here so everyone can hear you. All right, thank you. Okay, you're on.
Gotta have a speaker. Hang on,
Speaker.
it's on speaker. You got any more volume?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Great. Well, thank you, everyone. My name is Tara Walters. I am with MSA Professional Services. I'm a community development specialist on the funding team here, and I really, really appreciate the accommodation tonight. I'm very sorry I can't be there in person, but very much appreciate Pam and Cole's accommodating me. So I am going to present the work that we've been doing on the neighborhood revitalization plan. And I advance to the next slide. Can you see it?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So I'm going to first describe the project area and the public engagement that we've done thus far through the process, and then talk a little bit about the demographic data, the existing conditions analysis, and then finally the revitalization projects that we've landed on. So first, the project area that we're looking at with this neighborhood plan is the main street to Franklin Street, or rather the alley behind Franklin Street, and then kind of north and west, or what you guys would prefer to, north and south versus east and west, it would be 4th Street to 9th Street. So some of the locations included in this neighborhood are the George Washington School, the library, City Hall, and the pickleball courts. So we've devised kind of 3 different locations with the neighborhood. One being commercial, which is along Main Street. The second being the transitional area, which includes a lot of some of the commercial, but also the multifamily residential. And then finally, towards the north, the more residential area. And the maps, it's going to be cockeyed, for lack of a better word, because I'm just using True North as the map position. So bear with me. So public engagement throughout this process involved a kickoff meeting that we had with city staff and neighborhood stakeholders. We also conducted a walking tour that day. We also conducted a pop-up event on National Good Neighbor Day in partnership with the library. And then we've also interviewed city staff and stakeholders throughout their neighborhood. We called those consultation interviews to gather feedback. So during the kickoff meeting, we did a SWOT analysis, or strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, to get a better understanding of the neighborhood. These were just some of the things that were brought up at that meeting. It was a good chance for MSA to get a feel for what's going on in the neighborhood, what has been done, what are the weaknesses and threats that people see that are closely involved. And we use that to kind of devise a plan on what to do next. The pop-up event that we had, National Good Neighbor Day, we held it for the kids. So we had a kid event. It was Design Your Own Neighborhood. And we also tried to get people out with the opportunity to help us name the neighborhood. We tried to come up with a name internally at the kickoff meeting, but we thought it was better to put it out to the public. We came up with some ideas. As you can see on the right, these are just some ideas that we came up with at the kickoff meeting, and then had people vote at them at this pop-up event during Good Neighbor Day. The library district came out above all. So we are rolling with that for the neighborhood name. And some other pictures from this pop-up event. Design a Neighborhood was really popular. We gave a certified neighborhood planner certificate to all the kids that participated. We also had posters to look at some housing visioning photos, and asked folks to put a sticker on some housing types that they preferred to see in the neighborhood, and red stickers for things that they would rather not see. So moving on to the demographic data, there's lots of demographic statistics within the plan, but these were some of the key indicators that we pulled. Median household income is fairly low, $39,781, which is lower than the citywide median household income of $44,000. There's been a steady population decline since 2020, losing about 50 people, according to the census data, and then an older housing stock. So 80% of the housing stock is older than 1939. Further Disability seemed to stick out. There were 172 households of about the 280 households reporting a disability with the census. And then about 18% of the neighborhood is of the population over 65. And further, 31% of households in this neighborhood were below the poverty level, which is a lot higher than the citywide average of 20.4%. Looking at the housing market characteristics a little further, some things that stuck out were the median home value. It's $99,306, so your median home in this neighborhood is valued at about $100,000. That is lower than the state of Iowa. The median home value in the state of Iowa is actually $194,000, which seems crazy high. But the $99,000, however, is a little bit higher. Is a little bit higher than the citywide average. So overall, the city of Keokuk, the median household value is $79,500. So fairly low, but citywide, it seems on track. So then we get into the existing conditions. Or is everything okay? You can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just thought I heard something. I didn't want to, if you were trying to stop me. Further, the existing conditions, so this map was actually given to us prior to the plan starting. It shows occupied housing. So owner occupied in this neighborhood is about 36%, or 37% rather, and then renter occupied is about 37%. So that's a fairly high renter occupied percentage for a neighborhood. And then the other parcels were either non-residential or vacant lots. So something we need to keep in mind is going into this highly renter occupied neighborhood. Another thing that we did was a parcel survey. So we went out on the street and did a parcel by parcel survey. And this was to assess the utilization. So whether it was residential, commercial, a vacant lot, just to get our feet on the ground and really understand what's going on in the neighborhood. We also looked at, based on the street, so standing on the sidewalk, the evidence of vacancy or occupied. So to us, if it looked vacant, we marked it. And, if there was evidence of occupation, we marked that as well. We also looked at residential type. So we were trying to understand, single family versus multifamily. How many apartment structures were there and how big were they? Were they duplexes or, apartment structures that had 5+ units? We also marked parcels for architectural significance and took pictures when appropriate. And we also gauged exterior condition to understand, what the neighborhood looks like and other parcels that could use some work. We looked at yard condition, roof condition, paint and siding condition, as well as sidewalk condition. I'm not going to show all of these surveys or all of the results from the surveys. However, I'd like to point out a few things. Exterior condition, I've highlighted here. 8% of the parcels surveyed were in poor condition. And roof condition wise, 8% also were in poor condition. Paint and siding, 18% were in poor condition. And then finally, sidewalk, about 9% were in poor condition. So these numbers kind of play into some of the revitalization projects that we landed on. We also looked at the road or street condition. So this data was actually pulled from Public Works. So Brian was able to share with me the pavement condition analysis that was done by a consultant using the iWork program. So we were able to pull that data. and then clip it to this neighborhood to understand which streets were rated poor, 1 being good and 9 being the opposite, not good. So the redder, the street is, the worse off or worse condition the road is in. And so we also considered that in our project analysis. So moving forward, the activity funds. So the city received this $25,000 grant to prepare a plan and to come up with projects that will then go in the pot for activity funds. So this plan will then be submitted to IEDA November 30th. There were 6 communities within the state of Iowa, and IEDA will select 4 out of those 6 to receive activity funds. So if Keokuk is one of the 4, they can apply for the activity funds, and that's up to $1.75 million per community. And $70,000 of that can be for administrative costs, whether that be grant administration or administration to run some of these programs. But some of those costs can be included in the grant funds. So to wrap up, before we get into the projects, some of the things that became apparent in terms of need for housing. There's a number of properties that need rehabilitated based on this parcel survey. Parks and recreation, though the city has many park amenities, there are not a lot that are within proximity to this neighborhood. There's obviously the library with the new park. There's the pickleball courts. And I know that Triangle Park and Rand Park are somewhat close, but in terms of like active play for children, there isn't a ton. There's not any playground equipment essentially for kids to recreate. We also found infrastructure, so roads and sidewalks were in need of rehabilitation. Vacant storefronts, so the Main Street commercial portion was included in this neighborhood study. So there are approximately 8 structures on Main Street that appeared vacant, likely due to building condition, older buildings, historic buildings. And then we also found dilapidated structures, so structures that are unsafe to occupy. So revitalization projects, we don't know going into this funding opportunity what exactly IEDA is looking to fund. So we determined that if we just rather kitchen sink it and develop some projects that meet all the needs of the neighborhood, maybe not all the needs, but as many needs as possible of the neighborhood for revitalization, IEDA can then determine, which ones are ripe for CDBG funding. So we've landed on an owner-occupied housing rehab program. This would be grants to low to moderate income households for housing repairs and rehab. We also landed on street improvements. So we have some cost estimates based on that pavement condition analysis for street improvements in the neighborhood. We also discussed landlord revolving loan program. This is for that rental population. So we found it would be unfair to only provide funding for owner occupied housing when 50% of the housing stock is renter occupied. So in order to benefit low to moderate income persons that are renting, possibly creating a program that will facilitate rehabilitation for rental properties in the form of a low interest loan or a 0 interest loan. And that would revolve, I'll get into the details a little bit later, but it would then fund itself to move forward, and that would give the landlord some skin in the game. So that way they're not just taking the money and doing what they wish with it, that they have to eventually pay it back. We also discussed some veteran housing options that came up multiple times within the consultations and the public event, the public engagement event at Good Neighbor Day. Further, in meeting with Main Street, Keokuk with Kira. We talked about some of the barriers to business expansion or startup, and a commercial roof replacement loan program came to mind. And then the sidewalk improvement program is also going to be discussed, as well as a new neighborhood park to address the park and recreation lack in the neighborhood. And then lastly, dilapidated building demolition, sorry. So first, owner occupied housing rehab program. CDBG often will fund owner occupied housing. It's usually in other states, it's about $60,000 per household. Given the number of houses that were in need from the exterior survey, there were about 30 to 37 households that could use this. So I budgeted about 10 properties at 60,000 and listed, I'm not going to go through them all, but listed are just some of the eligible CDBG costs that can be used for those grant funds. The landlord revolving loan program, Wisconsin does something very similar. So in exchange for an agreement to rent to LMI or low to moderate income tenants, landlords can be granted a loan to repair or rehabilitate the property. And this includes, you know, all plumbing, electrical, roofing, siding, accessibility improvements for persons with disabilities, all of that. Street improvements, I actually pulled this from the Public Works database. So that pavement condition analysis provided road treatments in the neighborhood and what the associated cost or the estimated cost would be. So if we were to just fix everything in the neighborhood, this includes reconstruction and those streets that were identified of just needing an overlay. They came out to be about $500,000. The Veterans Housing Program, there were lots that were identified by the city and stakeholders for housing redevelopment, and 2x4s for Hope, a nonprofit organization that's worked in Fort Madison, as well as Quincy, that builds housing or tiny homes, I guess, for veterans in need. The commercial roof replacement, as I mentioned, Kira and I were kind of just hashing ideas back and forth, and one of the big barriers to business expansion or business startup is often that capital expense of fixing up the building, and a roof is, you know, key one to keep the weather out, to keep water damage from happening. So the roof is often a big barrier. So we came up with the idea of a roof replacement program that could provide forgivable loans to a business owner to kind of help with that capital expense at the beginning. And if they pay on it for so many years, then it's forgivable. If they, you know, the ownership changes hands or something, then they would have to pay that back. And the new neighborhood park. So when we were walking around, it was apparent that a park or playground was needed. And one of the parcels that we looked at was 620 Fulton Street, which is currently owned by the Keokuk Area Hospital. It's a fairly large lot. Again, this is, you know, pie in the sky. But if the Keokuk Area Hospital would be willing to part with that parcel, of course, costs include the acquisition, the demolition, the planning for the park, as well as park construction. It's a fairly heavy lift. However, it would be a great asset to the neighborhood. And then sidewalk improvements. During the parcel survey, we did note anywhere that sidewalks were in poor condition. I've noted a few here, but those cost estimates come out later, well, soon in the budget. And then dilapidated building demolition. So The city provided me with a list of buildings in the neighborhood that have been deemed unsafe to occupy. In addition to our parcel by parcel survey, I kind of compared those and came out with an estimate to demolish said buildings. So total, including administrative costs at $70,000, all of the programs combined would likely end up being about $2.27 million. Of course, this is more than the 1.75 million. However, when we submit the plan, IEDA will ask the city to prioritize these projects and then submit which projects they would like to apply for. So the owner occupied housing program at 600,000 would fund about 10 housing rehabilitation projects. The landlord revolving loan program at about 100,000. And street improvements at that 500,000 number that I previously showed. The veterans housing program, given there's about 4 or 5 parcels that are available for development. Tiny homes cost around 50,000 on the upper end. Sorry, my child's screaming in the background. The commercial roof replacement program at about 100,000. Neighborhood park, given the demolition, acquisition, and planning and construction, about 450,000. And then sidewalk improvements and the dilapidated building demolition. And that is all I have. Sorry, I raced through that. I'm open to any questions.
What was the budget amount on the sidewalk improvement? I couldn't see the numbers because of the watermark.
What was the budget on that?
200,000.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
I would just like to thank you, Tara. I think a lot of thought went into this, and it's very interesting to see the information and the proposed projects.
Okay, can we wrap that up? Thank you, Tara, for all your hard work, and we'll continue on from here.
What was the question?
No, we're good to go.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great night, you all.
Okay, moving on. We will go to item number 9. Now is the time and place for the public hearing, the disposal of excess property at 1901 Main Street. A public hearing notice was published in the Daily Gate City on November 8th, 2023. I'm opening the public hearing at 6:03 p.m.
My name's Jerry Palmer, and I'm the one that's been inquiring about buying the property. I had the land appraisal and everything done. So far, what I've got a vending ice machine purchased, set on the property. There'll be some improvements to the ground around it and the property that goes with it. So, when I first got the appraisal, I thought, maybe I could buy it for $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. But when the appraisal come through, it was about 3 times higher than that. But I've talked to some other people and they say the property's worth what it's appraised at. And I don't have a problem as far as paying for it. So I've got a vending ice machine order that will set on the property, hopefully yet this year, if not the first year. But there's some cleanup going to have to be done, and some concrete going to have to be poured, and hopefully we'll get that done yet this year. Any questions? That's it?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Any further discussion, anybody? City Clerk, any written comments or objections have they been received? I did have a question this afternoon on if it would be available if it didn't go through tonight, and I was told that we'd get back to somebody if it did. So there being no further comments or objections on the matter, I will close the public hearing at 6:05. Item B is consider resolution disposing of municipality-owned real property located at 1901 Main Street, Keokuk, Iowa, Lee County, Iowa. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 10, motion to approve the initial reading of an ordinance repealing sections of Chapter 9.84, weather emergency.
The changes to Chapter 9.84 are as follows: allows emergency to be called by street superintendent, public works director, or the police chief, or their designee. Allows snow routes to be designated by resolution of the city council. Sets a $25 civil fine and methods of recovery for non-payment. The changes were discussed at a workshop and are necessary to increase efficiency in snow removal.
Do we have any more discussion?
Are we going to put signage up on snow emergency routes, or is every street going to be?
No, we will, at the, once the ordinance has passed all three readings, a resolution designating the snow routes
That's what I
will
thought.
be brought forward.
I just want to make.
And this only, the civil fines and everything only apply to the snow routes. It's not citywide, it's the snow routes.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll need a motion to approve,
So moved.
and I'll need a roll call.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
Loser.
Might be on mute.
Still there.
I'm sorry, aye.
Altman's,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Now I need a motion to waive the second and third reading of this ordinance.
So move.
And I'll need a roll call.
Walker,
Aye.
Garcia,
No.
Altman's,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
7-1.
Now I need a motion to adopt and give final approval of the ordinance.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? And I'll need a roll call.
Garcia,
Aye.
Altman's,
Aye.
Andrews,
Aye.
Tillman,
Aye.
Bryant,
Aye.
Greenwald,
Aye.
Crenshaw,
Aye.
Walker,
Aye.
Motion approved. Item number 11, consider resolution approving aquatic center management agreement with the Horner YMCA.
The YMCA is requesting one change to the management contract. The current document provides a fee of $25,000 for management of the facility and a $30,000 deficit cover. In the past 3 years, the deficit has been significantly lower than $30,000. This past season, the deficit was $27,781.66. Portion of the shortfall can be attributed to having to increase wages for lifeguards. There was a drop in attendance, which could be partially attributed to the splash pad. The YMCA is requesting a deficit coverage to be increased to $35,000, and the last change in the contract was 2021. In 2021, we reduced the deficit coverage from $35,000 to $30,000, but increased the management fee from $20,000 to $25,000.
Any more discussion?
Have we talked about ways to be more involved with, I guess, decisions that are being made there? I wonder if attendance is also low because I don't know that people are getting as many memberships when there's so many days that they're closed.
Oh, no, what she's asking is if, if the park board, park commission, or us are more involved in some of the decisions going on down there, because she's wondering if the attendance is due to the number of days that they were closed.
So, we had a meeting with them on the 6th, and we did discuss that. We talked about hours, and the days that most of the time, the days that they are closed is because of weather. They have sometimes closed early because of lack of people at the pool. We also talked about some different types of events we could hold there, and we also talked about upping the fees for the group parties. That's something we need to hammer out, and then that will probably come to council before the spring opening of the pool. As far as the closing, I think they stay open as long as they can stay open with the issue of weather. We also talked about upping rates, but we don't want to price out people in the community from using our pool. So in short, yes, we've talked about it, and we're actually looking at probably shorter hours definitely on Sundays. They don't get very many people that stay after the 4 p.m. hour on Sunday afternoons. So we are looking into it.
Okay, I need a first and a second.
So moved.
I need a second, guys.
Then I'd make a motion to table this. Future discussion.
Okay. So item number 11 is tabled.
No,
No, you have to have a
you
second.
have to have a second on the motion to table.
I'll second to table.
Any discussion?
I think tabling it makes sense just because it sounds like there's a lot of things you guys are talking about working out. So I think we need to figure that out before we make a decision. So I think that's a good idea, Shelley.
I'd rather that we tabled it and make a decision with more information than not make a decision at all. My recommendation.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion was tabled. Item number 12, consider resolution setting a public hearing on an amendment to the fiscal year 2023 through 2024 annual budget. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. With expenses and revenues related to the storm damage, a mid-year amendment is necessary to account for the additional revenues and expenditures. Prior to action on the amendment, a public hearing must be held, and staff is recommending December 7th, 2023 at 5:30 p.m.
Any discussion?
When do amendments need to be turned into the state?
What was that?
When do they need to be submitted to the state?
When do they need to be submitted to the state?
Yeah.
Any amendments have to be done before June 1.
Okay, well, okay.
Yeah,
But-
you can
but
do
we're
as
doing
many,
this just-
during the budget season, you can do multiple
Yeah.
amendments. It's just that they don't accept anything after May 30th.
But this is the one, the amendment that we'll be working off of for budgeting season then.
Yes.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 13, consider resolution approving seventh modification agreement to convertible promissory note and personal guarantee between Amjet Turbine Systems LLC and Lee County Economic Development Group Incorporated. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. The original note was signed in 2010 and was assigned to LCEDG and financed by the city of Keokuk. That note has now been assigned to the city of Keokuk. Since 2017, the city has granted one-year extensions to the loan agreement, 6 in total. Latest modification has the note coming due in 20 months, starting with their first payment of February 1st, and requires a monthly payment of $10,000. The modification includes a personal guarantee by Amjet's principal investor.
Any more discussion?
Was it always in the plan for the note to be assigned to the city at some point? Or how did that recently
No,
happen?
the original loan had the money going back to LCEDG for economic development purposes, and there was also the option of them acquiring stock in the company. LCEDG, to simplify things, just said, you know what, city, you take the note, and then we'll recover the funds back into our pockets.
So when we get the money for this, it comes back to the city, not back to.
Correct. It'll come directly to us rather than LCEDG.
Were these originally TIF funds?
I'm not sure exactly where they came from. Somebody said they did come from bridge funds.
So will they be returned into the general fund?
When they're returned, that is up to the council on how they would like to have those brought back in. Because originally, they were not going to be returned.
Okay.
So the loan wasn't supposed to be repaid until 2017. So there was a 7-year gap where.
Right, as
Where-
a balloon payment, yes.
So it wasn't generating interest then until 2017.
No,
No,
it
it
was
was-
generating interest.
It was forgiven.
Previous council forgave the interest in order to encourage them to start repayment.
What year was that?
That would have been the third or fourth or fifth modification,
So 5 years ago?
3 or 4 years ago.
So 3 or 4 years ago, the interest was forgiven.
I believe, yes.
Well, they're not paying back any interest at all.
They're not
That's what
paying.
I'm trying to figure out in my head is how much interest we're actually losing on this deal again.
Well, the reasoning for forgiving the interest was to get, in order to encourage them to pay. The negotiations that we worked out here, again, was in order to recover the funds. We did propose different options that would have interest being repaid. This was the route that they wanted to go, especially with giving the personal guarantee. We had no guarantee with the original note.
Right.
And the interest was also lowered to 1% at one point. So I can't remember what the interest was, but it was around $20,000.
So originally, though, we weren't even going to get this money back. Lee County Economic Development Group was going to take it. So we're
Correct.
actually recovering $200,000 that we were never planning on getting back.
Correct.
Is he here tonight? Is there a representative here?
From LCEDG?
Yeah, or no, Amjet.
From Amjet? No, there is not.
So just for clarification, if we vote yes on this, he will be required to pay the city, pay back $10,000 each month,
For 20 months.
starting next year, the first of next year. And if he
It'll
defaults
actually be February.
February 1st of next year, and any default on that, automatically 100% due at that point. It's
Right.
not, he's not going to come back and ask for another extension. We're
Right.
not going to forgive it again. From this point on, we'll be getting money every month until it's paid, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
So what would be the alternative if we don't pass this?
The alternative is that the total amount comes due in owing, because we're not granting another extension.
And that total amount will go to,
No, it would come to us, because we've already assigned, the note has already been assigned to us.
so if we don't pass it, we get the whole amount up front February 1st.
unless they default, because under the current agreement, there is no guarantee. And if they default, the real value is the intellectual property, and we have nothing else in collateral under the original agreement.
The personal guarantee is the crux of this one.
So we're compromising on a personal guarantee this time.
Well, we have no guarantee now.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I know.
I'm
They made a
just-
bad decision,
Right.
but
Yeah, it
I'm
was a
just saying that
terrible decision.
the fact of having a personal guarantee means we will get paid back most likely, unless that person themselves goes bankrupt, which
Right.
let's hope that doesn't happen.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item number 14, consider resolution authorizing advancement of costs for an urban renewal project and certification of expenses incurred by the city for payment under Iowa Code Section 403.19. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
The following economic development and urban renewal projects are funded through TIF. KEDC, which is an annual appropriation of $60,000. Southeast Iowa Regional Port Authority, which is an annual allocation of $2,900. The Development Center operations of $100,000. That is an increase over what is currently budgeted, and that would be the revenues for next fiscal year. And then cemetery roads, we pay $30,000, and Hickey Construction donates labor. The $30,000 goes for concrete, and that is an annual appropriation. And in order to receive the funds through TIF, we must annually certify the expenses by resolution.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Motion passes. Item number 15, consider resolution approving agreement for interim city administrator. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm curious what the application process was like, how many applications were received, and how many interviews were held for this position?
We only interviewed the one person. That's it. And the name was given to us from somebody in the public, and we only interviewed this one person.
Guess I'm disappointed to hear that. I've been on the record for a while that I do believe in having the position, but all along I wanted to see us interview more than one person. And so I'm disappointed to see that we did not interview more than one person, even though we had more than one person tell us they wanted to be interviewed for the position. So
We only received one person that wanted for this.
how was the position advertised?
It wasn't.
So how does someone know to apply if we don't tell people that they can?
I'll just read you what the process that went through. The Personnel Committee for the City of Keokuk met Monday, November 6, 2023, with the department heads for the City of Keokuk to discuss their feelings on going forward with an interim city administrator. They did not at any time say that they would not step forward and do their part. However, they did express how much was already on their plate, and they would be in favor of a city interim. After the meeting, it was decided to interview Mr. Dave Hinton. Mr. Hinton's name was mentioned to me, and I took it to the Personnel Committee. On Monday, November 13th, the Personnel Committee met and interviewed Mr. Hinton for the interim city administrator position. It was a unanimous decision to present Mr. Hinton to the council tonight. Mr. Hinton is willing to serve in the capacity for 6 months from January 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2024, or until a new city administrator is hired. He will not need insurance nor any other benefits, and his salary request is $55,000 for the 6 months with 10 days vacation, 3 personal days, and 3 sick days. All this is negotiable pending tonight's decision. According to our attorney from Lynch, Dallas, there's no, and this is a quote, "There's no particular law covering how the city hires personnel except for veterans preference, Iowa Code 35C, and of course, the civil rights laws." So we have a lot of latitude on who we may hire. We do not necessarily need to elaborate or get expensive search or an expensive search either, particularly in this case of an interim where the hire is mostly definitely temporary. We can just proceed with someone with whom the council is comfortable pending the permanent hire. In a temporary hire situation like this, we can definitely reach terms and approve a temporary contract for resolution without going out to the public.
Thank you for that, Mayor. My main concern here, first I do want to say, ex-chief Dave Hinton, he's a good man and he has a proven track record of good leadership. And I do believe he's a fine candidate for this position. However, I'm very concerned about the perception of this all. It just seems like a due process was not sought out, and it seems like all these years that we've been speaking about being transparent, that perhaps decisions that were made here have made the perception of transparency take a step backwards. And so I'm just disappointed in the way that this process has played out by not having more than one interview.
I will tell you that we do have 3 other resumes on hold. None of them applied for the interim. They all applied for the city administrator full-time. None of them applied for the interim.
Thank you.
I'm sort of confused that there was an interim position, a person that was actually proposed, because from my understanding is that the council has wanted to interview an interim instead of just a personnel committee. And I thought from the last meeting that it was made clear that the entire council should interview the interim, not just the personnel committee. And also that we didn't even make a decision yet as to whether we wanted to hire an interim as well. So I'm a little confused as to process, because there's been several processes that have been proposed by the council, and they have not been happy about those processes. Then the council proposes a process, and then they choose not to follow that process. So I'm a little confused right now as to why we already have somebody being proposed as an interim candidate when we have said we didn't even know if we wanted to have an interim, but then also it's been said that the council wants to interview the interim as well. And I would like to interview the interim as well. And I just think there's a lot of important questions that I have as to the qualifications, if we've been clear as to what we're asking of the interim and what their duties and responsibilities are.
So within the personnel committee, and I'm speaking as a liaison for it, in the personnel committee, we got together and we did interview him, and this is no different than the process we had when we interviewed we interviewed for Brian's position and for Zeth's position, and the whole council didn't. The personnel committee and the public safety committee interviewed for them and presented it to the council, and this is the way that I saw the process.
So then I'm confused as to then why didn't we interview the proposed candidate that was highly qualified, that was brought forth by Hinson Consulting?
Because we chose
I
not.
would like to speak about that if I can.
Okay.
First, we never agreed to hire Hinson. On the contrary, we actually voted against hiring them for an interim. You brought the resume for a candidate that Hinson had sent to you even after we'd voted not to have them search for that. You continued to talk with them even though you were advised not to. Not really your decision to make. We never actually hired Hinson, so we can't even look at a candidate that Hinson brought forward. You yourself stated when the mayor mentioned, should we contact her? You jumped up, said, you can't call her. You have to go through Hinson because we didn't find her. Your words. The thought of hiring a candidate that Hinson brought isn't even viable because we didn't hire them, so we can't use their candidate.
So first, things first is that I was allowed to contact Hinson Consulting. I was the chair of the Personnel Committee, and I had been the contact with him. I spoke to him after our Thursday meeting where the council had chosen not to move forward with an interview for the interim that was proposed. He stated several times that this is standard operating procedure. They're recruiters. This is what they do, is they want to set up a community for the best possible search. And how they typically do that is they provide some options for interim. And so they had provided an option for us to interview. And then in that proposal, it stated that if we were not happy with that person, we could move forward and he could propose perhaps 2 other interims that he knows are available. The council chose not to move forward with that. Now, Hinson Consulting did speak to the mayor, and I would like to ask the mayor what Hinson Consulting has made their decision on.
Henson Consulting will not be working with us. They do not want to work with us, and so there will be no contract with them.
And so then we also need to have a conversation then, not only then about what we're going to do around an interim, we need to have a conversation about what we're going to do for a permanent search now.
And I do believe we need to have a conversation about the permanent search, but the motion on the floor right now is, do we want to hire this? The Personnel Committee is recommending Dave Hinton and nominated him for the interim city administrator. So at the present time, I don't see that we should be talking or worrying about at this present time a full-time city administrator.
I would motion to table this motion because I feel that I, as a council member, would like to interview the interim and understand what their qualifications are, and that make sure and clear that the city has explained to him the expectations.
Isn't this the same process we just went through with the police chief,
Wait
the
a
city
minute, wait a minute,
administrator,
wait a minute.
city manager?
Roger, wait a minute. There's a motion and it either needs a second or it needs to die for lack of a second. And the motion was to table this action on this. And the motion was made by Councilmember Oltmans.
Do we have a second? So that motion dies. Okay, now we're back to, there is a motion on the table that for the Personnel Committee is recommending Dave Hinton to be nominated for interim city administrator with 6 months salary of $55,000 from January 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2024. We have a first and we have a second. Do we have any more discussion?
May I
Did
ask?
I'm sorry, I am having a hard time hearing everybody, so sorry if it's a repeat. Did we give a job description, or are we aware, is he aware of all the things we were expecting him to do?
Do you want me to answer that, Kathy, since, okay.
Yes.
So Shelley, I did take your job requirements for a full-time city administrator. Do you remember when you put that together this spring? I took that packet, it was 5 pages, and I amended it for job description for an interim city administrator. I focused on budget responsibilities, and I focused on operational and department management for his main responsibilities. I took out some lines about special projects because I don't foresee him doing that within 6 months.
Do we have any special projects right now that are taking place, Brian? Or any of the other department heads?
Special, we have Riverfront Trail Project, 18th Street reconstruction, Sid Center build-outs.
I did leave those items on the short-term goal and the long-term goals, just in case those topics came up that he would be able to work with you guys for obvious reasons on history, you know.
And just so you know, Cole has given me a list of projects and a list of things that will need to be taken care of as best he could for the first 6 months. And I have sat down with different members of the staff, and we have talked about who can do whichever ones need to be done if they don't go to the interim.
Has Dave, is he very well aware of the change in the budgeting process and how this will be impacting the next 5 years of the city budget? and how to go through that process?
I do think that he has great budget experience, and he mentioned several resources and people that he knows and that he can reach out to for help. So since he has worked here for so long, he obviously has contacts he can use, and he also has reports that he's familiar with. He mentioned League of Cities, among other things. So he has a good idea of where to start.
Okay.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Nay.
Motion passes. Item number 16, boards and commissions.
Sorry, you have two final notifications that will require a vote. Those being under the Rand Park Commission, Andrew Whitaker and Amanda Rogers with terms to expire 10/22/28. And then 4 for the Grand Theater Commission, Janice Linder, Rianne Salter, Terry Twitchell, and Jerry Herr with terms to expire 11/5/2026. Second notification for Veterans Memorial Commission, a first notification on Grand Theater Commission, and then you do have a mayor appointment that will require a vote, and that would be Convention and Tourism. The city representative, Judy McDonald, with term to expire 12/31/26. I can take those all as an omnibus motion.
What if we don't necessarily agree with just one?
Then you can make a motion for the others and take the other one separately.
I'll motion that.
So which one are you taking separately?
Well, I'm conflicted with the last one because is that our current city liaison, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, so it's a renewal, and she hasn't came to give us any reports for being a council liaison since I've started. But also, back in the spring, I know of several people that have told me they called the tourism department to join the board and they wouldn't take on any new people. So there are people out there that would like to have a spot on that board if there is one open.
So currently, we have a motion and need a second to, for the Rand Park Pavilion Commission, Andrew Whitaker and Amanda Rogers, Grand Theater Commission, Janice Linder, Rianne Salter, Terry Twitchell, and Jerry Herr. So the mayor needs to ask for a second on that motion.
I need a second on that.
Can you clarify that again?
Okay, so the motion is to approve for the Rand Park Commission, Andrew Whitaker and Amanda Rogers with terms to expire 10/22/28. Grand Theater Commission, Janice Linder, Rianne Salter, Terry Twitchell, and Jerry Herr with terms to expire 11/5/2026.
So basically everything but the tourism.
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Do you have any action on Judy McDonald, or would you rather have alternates presented?
Well, I think Kathy takes the mayoral recommendations, right? So what would your
Yes.
process be in this case?
I think that if Judy was confronted and told that she needed to be the liaison and come to the meetings, I don't know that it would mean she would have to come every time.
No,
But
no.
like once a quarter or something like that, I'm sure that she would probably be open with that. So I would like to see us just wait on that, and I will have a conversation with her.
I think that's appropriate. We have other council liaisons that come regularly, and that one never has.
Okay?
Yeah. Kurt, you
Come
got
on up, Kurt.
Yep.
One thing, this board, your city council does get a monthly report from Convention and Tourism. So, I mean, it's given every time we have a meeting. There's what we go over, what we talk about is given to you every month.
Kirk, I don't think so. Do you guys see that?
The council doesn't get
Where
it.
is-
The-
where
No,
is-
we don't get that.
Where is that report
I
sent
give it to Amy Benson every month.
Okay.
We'll have to talk to Amy because Keokuk Park Board also gives a report every month.
So I guess what we need to decide here before, thank you, Kirk. If, when the park board and the tourism gives a report, does the council want to see that? Okay,
Yeah, a simple email with it attached would suffice.
okay, not a problem. I will talk to Amy about it. And just so you know, we have been working really hard this past 6 months trying to get these boards all full. And we're doing a lot of outreach. We're not just waiting for people to call. We've been working really hard, and we hope to get everybody situated by the end of this year that's already on, that wants to stay on if they're expired. And we have reached out to quite a few different people. Again, it's one of those processes where, you got to find the person that fits the norm. You don't want somebody to be on the veterans if they're not a veteran. So you have to look and find who you think is best suited for that. So we are working really hard on it. And after the first of the year, I think we need to have a workshop so we can talk about it and see the real process. So I hope that we can get that done. Do we have any more boards and commissions reports? Council liaison reports? I am the liaison for the Historic Preservation Commission. We've been working real hard on, we do have our articles of incorporation. We have our IN number now, and we have applied for our 501c3. They accepted the paperwork, and we are waiting to, and the money's been taken out of the account, so we're just waiting on the final with that. As soon as that comes through, we'll be working again on trying to get the Bodden House built and back up, and we also have a couple of other projects that we're looking into. So, any more council liaison reports? Staff reports.
I just have a comment. So tonight's presentation by Tara, that is due to Iowa Economic Development on November 30th. I suppose I should have had a motion for you to approve the report or the plan. I sent that to you. If you do have any issues with it, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and submit it as presented.
I think that's fine.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Pam. Thanks for you and Brian for all your hard work with that. Thank you.
First floor blood out the Sid Center is going very well and on schedule. We are bidding out a new build out of 2,500 square feet on the second floor. Those bids will be due back on December 1st. The reason for that is Freeze Dried is expanding their operations, which is great to hear. It's good to see that building have as much action as we have in it right now, and looking like it's going to start bringing in some good lease monies there. City of Christmas, between the volunteers and the assistance of city staff and equipment, is going, the installation to all that's going very well. Looks like they're going to be well on track to be opened here next week. So make sure everybody gets out and visits.
Pam, I just wanted to ask you quick, they're not going to need to have like a resolution or anything, or a motion for the application. Are they going to have something from the city council? I just want to make sure if,
So I don't think that we would have to have a resolution to approve the presentation, because part of the grant was to prepare the presentation.
I just wanted to make sure that if we do, we could do it, can't we? We can still make a motion?
Well, you can go back and reconsider whatever.
Just in case, I'm just saying, while we're here.
It was, no, it was 8B. You can make a motion to reconsider 8B, and then,
I'd rather do it just in case. it's a holiday season. We don't want to be.
We're all here, so if you feel more comfortable doing it, we can.
So then let's make a motion to reconsider 8B.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, now you need a motion to approve the report.
And I will make a motion to approve the report as presented to the council.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's pass. Okay,
On September 30th, we held our last civil service testing. We have exhausted that list without filling any of our 3 openings. We will be conducting another civil service testing on January 13th after the start of the new year.
okay, Cole? No? Okay, so, we're on item number 19. I need a motion to enter into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? So we are going to close session, and we will return when we're done. All that's left is new business and the adjournment of the meeting, so. Then we have a workshop.
Yes, ball.
Generate, more excitement around.
Yeah.
And I kind of, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep your chin up. I tell you what. But you know, Christian church. You know, they're all done. I spend, put up there now. Anybody. It's no different. What sits out in front of like the gas station. Right. But the gas stations are in the bags that are in the cooler. This area. Village specified. Not fills up bag. The ones like in the stores, you get like 7 or 8 pounds for, this one here would be 12 pounds. Just driving by and seeing if there's one. I started calling and getting prices. There's a ice vending machine. They got machines in formats. And I called them and I was like, how many bags of ice cream you sell? Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I don't. You were struggling. Yeah. You gotta talk to, Jim Henderson, on that property on the old, Firewood property. You know where I'm at, And he said, they must have a camera up there, where his office is. And he said, there watching people coming from their houses. You know, when they break into these houses, they're all dead. It's gonna be.
And you know what? We've made it this far. We'll make it. It ain't, we don't like it. And it burns. If you pick them up for vacancy, or you pick them up for being, somebody's time to go down there instead of the top of the courthouse while they. We've taken people up there and they won't take them because they say that's really? When I first came on in 1991, threw their ass in the trunk tank. Nowadays, now they're too drunk. I can remember I was about 18, 17, 18. They put us, that's when they had the cells in the Keokuk jail, or in Keokuk Police Department. I remember going in there and, they were gonna put you, I went drunk, whatever. Whatever, it was crooked, in here, and stuff. Then they can change. You know, look at the time, we wasted an hour, at least an hour. And that's an hour off the street. And I'm taking, I'm got to be, like, it's where you are. I thought people up there for felonies, and I kind of worked with them. Really? Yeah. But I tell you what, it ain't right. My mom, back in the sports church. My mom was a secretary, sports affair on the district. I got picked up for graduate. And the judge gave my mom a ticket. I paid the fine. She said, if you turn this in, go lose his license, or you can hold on to whatever you want to do. My mom said, I'll hold on to it. You will cause a problem anymore. And they changed. They wouldn't. Everybody's screwed up. You get all done up or whatever, you go up there, and the guy dies himself because he's OD. And family sues the county. I was reading the paper. It said there were ways to combat, to talk to your kids about drug abuse. The way the laws have changed. Show them more than you heard. Boy, you know, we was 17, 18, 19. You got picked up a great beer, they're going to throw us in jail. We might be there forever. Not anymore. Yeah, I know. Jim Rose, you know Jim? He's one of the Rose brothers. Well, yeah, Jim was on the old bridge coming back from Illinois, and the agent's down, barging. He sat there waiting for the heat, passed out in his car, and feared or 54 for somebody went and got him, put his ass home, and they didn't want to see him anymore that night. And right home. No, you can't, because then they'll leave you. Go out and cause more trouble. Right, and you're going to be the first one they're going to put. Yeah, but you know, I have to go find another job. That's good. I'm going to the ranch. Oh, sounds like a winner. Later, you have a good rest of the night, all right? Not over, all right. Later. How you doing? How you doing? Okay. Where's the council? Oh, you're sitting down here, making money. Council meeting's over, they're in a closed session, but I gotta stay because there's something happening. Do you eat yet? Do you eat yet? Oh, you don't have one. Did you do the butter one? Yeah. Did I make a good choice? I might just have some chips. All right, how's buddy? Hello. Hey, I forgot to ask you, is your kids doing a fundraiser? Yeah. Can I still add to it? You used to do me all the time and, you know, I can throw $20 in kitty towards something. Oh, okay. That'd be great. But you used to do the cookie dough for me, and I seen something on Facebook about a free throw thing, and every time I saw you, it just didn't connect, you know. So I was just wanting to see if I could donate to something. That'd be great. Yep. All right. Take care. Bye. He said that can wait at 7:30. She had her head down, she was out.
How do you like that truck, Mike? Oh, it is?
No, it's investment. No, it's an investment, like investment, like startups, like they do a huge amount of stuff. I try to
It's the,
I called her, I said, it's black and white night. Oh, my goodness.
It doesn't sound good.
40, what is it? So if you ever want to trade or something, you know, just for a week or so.
Are they here? Thank you very much for everything. I need a motion to go back into session.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Do we have any new business? Item number 20, new business. Anybody?
Do we want to set a date for when we start talking about a full-time administrator?
We need to start talking right now.
Well, that's what I mean, like,
I would say is that I guess this is from Mike Norris's experience working with Fort Madison. There are 3 firms that they had received information from. We had Hinson Consulting's out. Hanson, she's not available right now, and I don't think she would be available in the budget season because of what she does. But we would probably have to just reach out to HR Gov, which is about twice as much as Hinson when they received the last quotes. So I think we need to reach out to them as soon as possible to get them with a contract with them to be able to move forward on the process.
so does everybody want the personnel committee to move forward on that then? What do you guys think?
I would.
Yeah, it'd be good to have a proposal on the table by next meeting,
By what? By the next meeting?
if able.
Okay, so somebody make a motion?
I'll make a go ahead.
Okay.
Well, that's new business, so we can think about that.
Personnel committee, you can do it. Like, we don't have to make a motion. That's exactly. Yeah. Get a proposal and then we will then take action.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so item number 21 is, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Let's go home, everybody.
We have a workshop?
Oh, I forgot. I'm sorry, Brian, I almost forgot
It's
you.
all right. I'll make it real quick, and this is just for consideration of the council, so we are able to, in the next couple meetings, get a resolution put before you guys. So this is a conversation about the split between the city and KDC from the Sid Center leases. Right now, it's a 50-50 split. I was asked to bring and present this on behalf of economic development. So right now, obviously we're in the middle of a pretty major build out right now that KDC's directly funding, being backed by the city. They're taking out the loan, they're making the construction payments. Previously, they have self-funded the 2,000 plus square feet that Roquette is taking over on the second floor, and there's somewhere in the $40,000 to $50,000 range. They have also self-funded replacing lighting on the 4th floor for Nanby and lighting on the 3rd floor for a prospect that didn't pan out. We are right now taking bids for 25,000 or 2,500 square foot renovation for freeze dried that KDC is also going to fund. So they would like to see the city do a different split on the lease rates. Whether that is a 70-30, 60-40, 75-25, it's kind of up to you guys of what you think is fair. But the reason being is they'd like to recoup a little bit of their money at a faster rate for what they're putting in for renovations.
And if I do recall, when Kerry was here talking about it, he did say that their intention was to pay off that note as soon as possible. So the higher percentage that goes to KEDC will equate to the faster that.
So
note is
right
paid
now,
off.
they have decided or at least right now, that they're going to take 100% of their split and put towards that note. So
Is this a certain time frame that they're talking about adjusting the split or?
that's why I said I would like to get on council to make a decision, hopefully before the first of the year, because that's when Roquette's going to start paying their lease on that.
Oh, I meant like once we do the less split, is it for like a year? Is it like 2 years? Is it for like,
We can work that into the resolution, however. if
I
you-
just didn't know if they
I
had a
would
certain
think,
time.
I can get term limits on their line of credit and maybe we do that.
Yeah,
split
like
for
we
the-
could do matching that so that it works well with their loan, I
Maybe the
guess.
split is for the longevity of their line of credit.
Sure.
Can you, and you may or may not know, including Roquette, who's fixing to be there, all the renters we have at this moment that are basically on paper that we're going to have come the first of the year, what percentage of that total rent income pays for the building that it
So-
actually costs? So if we was, my question, I guess, if we would lower let's just say to 60/40, would 40% still keep Keokuk in the black? Because the only, and this is where I'm at. The only way I'm going to really get on board with lowering a percentage
I would
is
say,
as long
Dan,
as
that
Keokuk is
it will
still
put,
staying.
it will put Keokuk in the black because we're not there. Like the city
Well-
right now is not there with operational costs.
Well, and that's what I mean. So then if we lower our split, we're that much more in the red.
Well, not technically, no, because you're bumping up the amount of lease money we're taking in substantially next year.
Well, that was my question. Counting
So
all of the projected that we're going to do as of the first of the year, Roquette, Barrett, the new freeze dried, all of that.
So the only one.
Using those numbers,
So we're
will
looking,
50%.
we're looking at, just if I use round numbers, just between Roquette and freeze dried, you're gonna be around $170,000 a year.
so half of that would be 85.
Yeah.
And it costs about 100,000 to maintain the building a year. Is that correct?
So,
Right, isn't freeze dried only paying 30 a year?
well, they're doubling their space. So in this expansion contract, we're doing with them right now, they're gonna pay an additional. Well, they're outside of this lease rate that was given to them in the beginning because they were a startup. This new expansion, they're gonna start paying the market rate like Roquette is. So that's gonna jump their lease rate up quite a bit.
Well,
Will it double what they're paying right now?
Huh?
Will it double it?
Probably a little better than that, but at least double it, yes.
Because that's my only concern is it's been in the red since we got it.
So,
And
and also,
that is a serious sore subject with almost everybody in town.
so this is
if that's brought up.
This year is a little bit of an exception on the city's expenses, because we've had 2 flood events at the building, only one of which was covered by insurance. So between both of those flood events was a little over $60,000 that we had to spend as a city just for remediation of the water damage. First one was covered by insurance. The second one was deemed not due to our heavy rain event and the insurance company called it flooding.
Which one was covered and which one wasn't?
So the first one was covered with the toilet overflow.
Okay, that one was covered.
That one was covered. This last one where we got the 10, 11 inches of rain in 3 hours, they did not cover that.
I wasn't even aware that the building sustained any damage from that.
Yeah, the basement floor or the first floor did.
I
We
see.
got water in it.
The amount of rain was so much in a short amount of time that it overwhelmed the sump pumps.
Now, I have a quick question here. Administrator O'Donnell. 4 years ago, there was $428,000 borrowed from the capital fund. Has any money gone back into that fund from the SID Center thus far?
No, because we've not been able to generate sufficient funds
Sure.
through TIF due to other obligations to be able to put that back in. As we get more tenants, we come closer to less, we can start subsidizing less.
Well, see, that's why I'd be in favor of keeping the split the way it is. So we can, pay back some of the money that we
And that's
borrowed years
that's completely
ago.
up to council
know.
whether you want to adjust it and how you want to adjust it.
I guess I just think that's unfair that they took out that loan and they're doing all that work, but we still expect to get our halvesies. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't look very good.
Well, we're still,
We're not paying anybody.
4
for
years
this
ago,
work.
we took,
And it's our building. I did have
Like,
a
there's no
question.
individuals getting paid to do any of this work. We're all volunteers. And it's,
No,
the
I'm just saying,
organization
though,
is doing this on
the
behalf.
building already owes the capital fund from 4 years ago.
I don't think that's how the capital fund works, is it?
We have not replaced anything into the capital fund. The capital fund right now is being supported by tax increment financing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, so the development center, we put, I believe this year we put $89,000 in tax increment financing towards that. The utility bills are probably going to run higher than that. That's why tonight, on the certification, I asked for an additional $21,000 to help cover that. And that can be put in the budget. If there is surplus TIF funds, they can certainly go back into the capital, but through TIF, we pay for certain debt obligations. And when we transfer that money over to debt service, it lowers the amount we have to actually ask for the debt service taxes. So that is what the bulk has been going of tax increment has been going for the last several years to meet those obligations. Tax increment financing has started to level out because of the different things that the state has done to property taxes. For example, the first 150,000 of any commercial or industrial building is taxed at the residential rate, where before that was an exemption that they had to apply for and they got a rebate. So that takes away some of the valuation. So there's other factors that go into that as far as the growth of the tax increment financing. Now, we certainly could see a bump this coming year, but as we know, the bump really is in the residential, not in the commercial industrial, which is what the urban renewal district is really set up for. There is residential within that so that we can use it as urban renewal and help out with different things. But the bulk of it comes from, of the tax increment financing that we receive, comes from the industries.
Then why would tax increment financing even be used on the SID Center? It's not growing any new tax base, you know?
Because we use it for that because it's economic development. It was also an urban renewal project. We took a building that was abandoned, right? And so we're allowed to support economic development efforts through the tax increment financing as well as the urban renewal.
And it does grow the tax base because anything that we lease out for a commercial entity, we have to pay taxes on as commercial property tax.
Right.
So so we are actually growing the tax base, the more square footage that we lease out. Parts of that lease have to go to pay those taxes, then we can collect.
I guess there's a disconnect for me here because the city owns the building, right?
Right.
Okay, so we have to pay taxes on the building, right?
We don't pay
We pay
taxes on our
taxes
buildings.
on the portion that is rented.
Right.
Okay, so those taxes go to the county. Then through tax increment financing, we can recover most of those taxes plus what is taxed for the school district in the county.
City doesn't pay taxes on any of our properties.
It's not a direct property tax, but I mean, the more space that's developed, the more we pay on it,
And then
right?
the more you get back out of it.
The more you get back out of it. We get to collect all that back.
Okay, thank you.
So just to clarify, if we do make revenue on it and we're not losing money anymore on the building, where are we going to place those funds budget-wise?
As far as the tax increment financing, that's a decision of the council, but the suggestion and the thought was always be to put those back into the capital fund in order to replace what was used in order to make the renovations to the building.
Okay.
And then but now we use TIF to offset our debt service right now, which is lowering the taxes then. We use TIF to lower taxes, so we aren't
Right.
paying as much on debt service. We aren't collecting as much tax on debt service.
So, and hopefully we're trying to wrap this up, would council like me to present a resolution?
I would like to get some more
What's it-
numbers on the long-term projections. I know what Rich West is working on some of that, and I've been providing him some information in
Okay.
order for the council to better understand what the strategy is to move forward into the next 5 to 10 years, so that they can see where the sustainability comes into.
And maybe we could also find out how long that line of credit was.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's an
And then
easy-
if the splits for like 2 or 3 years, then we could take that into consideration, but I don't know how long they were thinking.
I think the most that they were gonna do was, at our last meeting was 7.
7, okay.
That's the most. It kind of depends on the rate they were getting.
I suppose what I'd like to see, Brian, would be maybe if you looked at the next year and then the next 3 years, and if you gave us a rough estimate of this is the rent coming in, this are the expenses going out, so we can see that. And then examples of if we keep at 50-50, or we go 60-40, or we go 70-30, just so we can see those and all on the same piece of paper.
Like a comparison?
Yeah, a comparison.
Do we collect franchise fee on the utilities?
No, since the utilities are in our name, we are not charged a franchise fee.
Thank you.
I would like to see when you do come with this, I would like to get, because we've had the building 5 years, is that correct? 6 years.
We've had
I'd like to see the annual cost to just maintain the building, not counting the flood, just if everything works the way it's supposed to, like a normal building, what we actually have to keep the building maintained, taxes, utilities, whatever. Because if you remember when we walked through it, my only concern is that the city doesn't stay in the red. So if we can rent every bit of the building and we can get 10% of the income and still pay our bills, then the economic development can have 90% of it. But if we're still going in the red, it makes zero sense to give them more of the pie when we're already in the red, because then we would be that much farther in the red. And that's where I'm at. If we keep it at 50, that incentivizes them a little bit to get more renters in there, because now their piece goes up, their number goes up. And that's why if we're gonna look at this, I want some real numbers so we can really know this is what it costs. And like Mike said, also give us some projected, if we stay at 50 for the next 3 years, if we go to 60-40 at the next 3 years, because we need to show the people of Keokuk that we're actually going to make this work. Because like I said, right now, it's a pretty sore subject knowing that we're losing money on a building.
Okay.
And the only
I
people
think
that are,
the only part that I guess I would be uncertain of is the taxes we'd be paying right now, because I don't know that we've started that yet, have we?
Yeah, we can certainly get a history on what the operational costs have been for the last 3 years. Because I think that's how long we've had a tenant, is 3 years.
Well, you could just pull
Our
out our
first tenant
budget
came
for
in and-
April,
well, we-
because we talked about expenses.
We can pull all that information. I was going to request all that information from you anyways, Cole, because that's one of the things that we want to use to be able to project out what our costs would be.
Right.
If you just get some history, I understand there's no
Well,
way
we
you're
have,
going to know future.
KUDC does have one of the board members right now that's putting together exactly what everybody's asking for. And we just gave him all this information this week, so.
so from what I understand, it's about $110,000 a year in expenses. That's for the maintenance man, that's for utilities, that's for everything. $110,000 a year, is that off the mark?
That's probably, maybe just a little high, but close. I would figure right at about 100.
Right at 100.
And that's when we were paying, when it was empty, it was about $80,000.
Yeah.
Any more discussion?
I would also say that this building, I mean, I like that all the thought behind it, but this building will always be an issue of cost. It'll never be a day
Well-
when we look at it and say, oh, it's a good thing we did this because we're making all this money.
Well, if you're looking at just city-owned buildings, we're in the red on all of them because we don't make money on any of our buildings. We just pay to keep the doors open and the utilities, but.
But see, now 6 years later, we're taking out loans to help out the very business that we bought the building from. You know, because all the things that happened to that building, they would have happened to the people that owned it before us. But we took all those hits. And now, 6 years later, we're basically fixing it up for the same people we bought it from. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but the people of this town see that, and they're not happy about it, I can tell you that.
Did we answer your question on which direction to go?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure you didn't need anything else.
Nope.
Okay, any more discussion?
Roquette did not come to the city offering that building to us. The city went to Roquette. Because at that time, they had an individual that wanted to go in there, and he needed the labs. Oh, and then when we done that, we looked it over. We knew it had problems, but we thought we had a person that needed that building. Since then, he's left the mix. I think he was from Colorado, but that was the reason why the city or officers of the city went to Roquette and said, if you give us that building, then you won't have to pay taxes on it. And we have a person that's interested in using it. That's how it started.
Okay, anything else, guys, before we head on home? Then I say, let's go. Meeting's adjourned.
I have tried asking the people to put in the sound system before. Is it possible to do a headphone?
I mean, because
That's what, it's all, I can,